All right, welcome back to the Entrepreneur, Two Entrepreneur Shift the Culture podcast, episode 56. Travis, 56. We almost reached 60. Wow. More than a year. We've been sitting here and pretending like we know what we're talking about, and we're still here. We are back today with
still here.
The lovely, the talented, the intelligent.
Oh my God.
Keisha Oliver.
Travis, you could have
designer extraordinaire.
Drum roll.
Hi, Travis, where your mic, Travis?
I know where's is it, I have your mic.
No, he have it.
I have it. I could at least drum.
You could at least do the drum roll.
That's a no.
Thank
that's
you.
more like a Ewok
Yeah, let me cut my mic down a little bit.
type of thing. Okay. All right, let go.
Yes. All right. So,
Hey, everybody.
today we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic. We kind of,
It may be a hot topic as well.
yes, it may be.
Yeah.
We kind of touched on it. We kind of did an episode on it a while back, but that one was more towards are women respected in entrepreneurship. But we're going to be exploring the dynamics of gender. And not just entrepreneurship, but in business and I guess in the country in general, right? And professionalism and how men and women are treated, if they are treated differently, if they're treated the same. Like, we're going to explore those dynamics. And I think Keisha has a very recent experience that she don't mind giving up. Well, first of all, let me ask you, are men and women treated the same when it comes to business in the Bahamas? When you interact with people, from your experience, do you think that we are treated in the same way or with the same amount of respect?
No, I don't. I feel like women, it's just layered. Depending on what type of person you are, you're treated differently. So say, for instance, I'm a more confident, more aggressive woman. Mm-hmm. I'm treated completely different from someone who may be a little bit more mousy, a little bit more kind of like shy. So I feel like we respond to people differently, no matter if it's even gender related. It's just that we see how we can connect, take advantage of, or communicate with people based on where they stand as far as their personality. Mm-hmm. And so for me, for example, what I've noticed is when I speak to people on the telephone or when I speak to people via email, mm-hmm. I get a completely different response from when I see them in person.
Yeah, yep.
And so recently, as I was saying just before we came on air, I had a issue in the workplace where I had been working with a gentleman for a period of time, and I felt that if I was a guy, that relationship would have been a little bit different. I would have gotten a little less done, had a little less progress, or the...
Hold on, if you said if you were a guy, you would have gotten less
done.
Explain that for me. Why do you feel that?
So I feel like my ability, if Travis and I were colleagues, for example, and we were on the same level, and I asked for him to do me a favor as a female, initially, if he had interest in me, he would be willing to do it.
Like, yeah, man.
But if he didn't have interest in me at all, he would be like, well, she could wait. You see what I'm saying? And so I feel like that's just a female. Okay. And so now then if you put it in the role of a guy, if that guy who's approached Travis has asked him to do something, if that's his friend in the workplace, he's more inclined to do it for him. But if it's a guy that he doesn't, you see, so it's the dynamics of how you feel about the person too.
You see that?
I mean, because before we started recording, one of the things you did say kind of like you also feel like you would get more done if you were
yes,
a guy.
So I came in here and I was like, I feel like I wish I was a guy today, because I feel like I would have gotten so much more
right, but
done.
then, and you just give us an example where you got more done as a woman. And I think,
because I feel like only because as a female, we are able to tap into our femininity and use that in a way, which is kind of bad. Like, we have to use that. Why do I have to use my feminine touch to get things done?
Right. And for women who I've worked with as well, they've also made comments like, or they've been in situations where they feel like the guy would have to take this lead role or do this thing because they feel like since it's a man's world that they respond differently. I mean, I think that is unfortunate, because I feel like I've worked with women who feel like they're in a position where they can't excel or do these things because they're not a guy. And I've also equally worked with women that they don't give a hell about that. Like, they come to perform, they come to work. and they come to do those things. And it's unfortunate that if we live in more of a society where we get more of the former than the latter.
What do you think, Greg? I just
shout out to Alan Virginia Wallace. Look at Send the Eyes. He always tunes in every week. Shout out to Alan.
Yeah, shout out to Alan.
And also Stephen Cartwright has an interesting comment before I give my piece. Stephen says only light skinned ninjas get stuff done because we ain't on nobody run.
I like.
Thanks.
I don't know if we can verify that.
Boy, I don't know if I'm a light skinned ninja. Was he referring to me or was he referring to himself?
Probably him.
Yeah.
It's probably he was referring to himself.
That's an interesting take. But I agree with what Travis said basically. For example, this space we're in, my fiance, wanted to open back up her photo studio, and she wanted me to be with her throughout the process because she feels as though, especially in this country, men tend to be treated differently than women. And when it comes to business transactions,
Definitely.
like people would show more respect to a man than they do for a woman. So she wanted me to be, kind of there with her to assist or deal with certain things. And it's funny because, like you said, it's unfortunate, but it's an unfortunate reality.
Yeah,
because
it is a reality that we have to deal. And like, I would say I haven't personally seen it clear as day. Maybe because I'm in the position of a guy. But I've also seen guys that have that intention first of like to get something out of a transaction with a woman. I'd be like, wow, babe, like that's all you really thinking about in this, interaction.
Yeah, because it's almost like you want to take gender away. And like for me in my situation, I wanted to kind of know, like, would this person have responded the same way had I not been me? Had I been a guy? Had I been for whatever he saw, whatever he thought he was going to get out of the situation? Like, what would have taken him to just do his job? And I think oftentimes what I'm frustrated with in our country is that a lot of people don't take their job seriously. They don't just want to do what is expected of them, and that's part of the problem and part of the frustration. And I feel like if we just did that, a lot of these other issues would just be non-issues.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is, I realized how true it was when, someone, dealing with us with the building, spoke to her, called her with, some issues we were having. And just the tone they had with her was noticeably different than when I spoke to them.
Yeah.
So it was like, wow, like it was, I wouldn't say an eye-opener, but it was like just reassuring, like, this is a society where men in certain fields tend to be treated with more respect than women. And that was like a wow just for me, because I saw it myself, because the phone was on speaker. So I heard the way he would speak to her. And then when I spoke to him, it was like, wow, it's like a completely different tone. You know what I mean?
And so it makes you kind of wonder, like, when we go back to like the referendum and gender equality and all of that, it's kind of like, it's kind of like, why are we still living in this kind of like reality? Like, why do we still have these issues? Like, what will it take for us to move past this? Because you're in a society, like, for instance, I'm single, so I don't have that male figure in my life to come with me, for instance, when I'm purchasing my home, to ensure that the person on the other end is respecting me just as much, be the lawyer, be the realtor, whatever. So I have to go to a male figure in my family, my father, my uncle, whatever, and so why do I have to go through all of that just to get the basic job done? Why do we have to look at the person and say, based on how they look, their personality, we want to take advantage, or we want to help them more because of how we feel about them? Not just,
you want to know the truth?
Go on. Like skinny.
No, because humans messed up. Human beings are messed up. And when you realize this, you will have a lot less stress. Let's be honest. Human beings are both messed up and great.
But do you think it's a double standard? Do you see yourself doing it? Because I don't see
most
myself
definitely
doing it.
But what it does is it shows the power of culture.
Yeah, and
culture is very
but look
powerful.
We are speaking about it and we're criticizing the scenario. But do you see yourself in the position where you're on the end? You're in the position of, looking at someone and misappropriating the situation or taking advantage of, or looking at it, treating them better. Do you see yourself on that end? Because I'm rarely on that end.
That's a very good question.
You know, because we criticize them. Have we ever been them?
To be honest, I think we all have our prejudices, right? Mm-hmm. Just natural human nature, you're going to have prejudices because your brain functions to protect you in life. It learns certain things and it reacts to certain things based on your experiences. Mm-hmm. So we have a certain amount of experiences that build up our character and that build up the reaction we have to certain things. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, especially lately, like initially I would have those sexist reactions to certain situations, but I would have to rein myself in immediately. Like you have to catch it and rein it in. Because if you've come up in a culture where that has been the norm for so long, then you can't, a lot of times you can't have that initial reaction, but you have to recognize it and pull it back.
Yeah, I think, and it's a level of that you have to be, we'll say this, we probably have to have a count one of these days, how much times you say this word, but you have to have an awareness, like 100% of the time, all the time, and a level of empathy too. So like a big thing, especially what women also highlight recently, especially through social media now, is like this whole mansplaining thing. Like, you know, like, and it's a real thing. Like a woman would explain a topic and then a man would come in and like talk over it and say like, oh, I'm this, you know, they know more about it, and that's a real thing. And like, and if you don't check yourself, you yourself can also be guilty of that. You will become guilty of that.
And a lot of people don't even realize it when they're doing it. You know?
Exactly. It's not.
It's so second nature that it just comes natural, and they feel, because it's been the norm for so long and no one has really told them otherwise, they feel that it's normal to do. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, and maybe the people that are victims in this situation, oftentimes women, maybe you have to call them out on it or make them aware that, hey, listen, buddy, this ain't how this is supposed to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to check people when they do certain things, because if you just allow it, then they're going to continue to feel as though it's something that's normal and acceptable. Right. You know what I mean? So it's on the person to actually say, well, listen, this is not acceptable.
Like another big thing too, like what you'll hear is like, you'll have male figures in different businesses. They'll say, hey, sweetheart. You know, like you'll hear that and it'll be like, wow, babe, like what that would have been necessarily appropriate in that situation, but it's so like they don't know it. It's like, hey, sweetheart or baby, whatever, like that. In the workplace, like
very unprofessional.
Yeah, especially on particular set, like if you in a boardroom, first of all, and saying that versus not just like being like common courtesy just to say it to any type of person in any position, but like at a high level where, you know, women have worked to get to that, no question about it, and you still kind of bring them down that notch. It's like, it's the same principle to me where also, which is also brought up a lot in hip-hop too, where like you could be a successful rapper or a hip-hop artist, but like someone call you, you know, the N-word or something like that, it just brings you like, what the hell did I fight for? What the hell did I do? All like, if I'm still perceived as that, you know what I mean?
Well, I know, but because there's called themselves and words and rap.
That's a whole different conversation.
I know that's the best example.
Let's say, for example, so to switch that example around, you driving over there and you just get stopped on this. You could be a doctor, you know, or like a lawyer.
Yeah, no, I get your premise. I get your point. Yeah, I get your point.
And it kind of really hits home because it's like, what the hell? What am I? If I'm still going, if I've done all this stuff to work this way, and I still get taken down a notch by other people's perceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rashida is saying it always happens even when you check people. Is that the case, Keisha? Like, have you had to check someone like when they were out? Like, give us an example of some inappropriate actions by male counterpart.
So what happened is, so say for instance, you know, I identify that I'm working with someone at my job, you know, I work at UB, and I realize that, you know, you see the person making advances, or you kind of, you get a glimpse of what could happen later, and so you try to check it early, and then they catch feelings because you go into professional mode, like super professional mode. So you stop being cordial, but you like, you know, you walking on that thin line with them, and then they just catch an attitude, and I feel like it makes it very difficult to address it. Sometimes you just want to just dismiss it and look past it and not speak to the person about it, because the culture, like you said, we're so far gone that people don't find it as, they don't see it as an issue, but it is an issue because you bring this kind of uncomfortable culture to the workplace, to the environment where it should just be, I'm here to do my job. If you want to be my friend, you can after hours, but not like, man, let me do this favor for you because you're a woman, because you pretty, because you cute, because you light skin, because you got good hair, whatever it is. And I just feel like
she going on the whole list just now.
I can't just, like sometimes it's just too much. We here to do a job, and let's just do that job.
Yeah. But when you say catch feelings, what do you mean? Like they catch feelings? They
like because what happens is they now decide that, okay, you tell them like this is what's happening and you feel like we should just be professional, and then they don't even want to be professional. They want to be difficult. They want to make you look bad. And so it's kind of like you go from just asking them to do their job, from them being completely defiant, completely at the other end of the spectrum. And it's just like, geez, man, do dudes have to go through this?
No.
Well, I think you may.
I feel like has there been a social experiment, where like a guy has been.
I watched a movie once.
Oh, really?
Horrible Bosses. Jennifer Aniston was a beast.
Again, it wasn't necessarily a social experiment, but it was dramatized, and I don't know if it's to that level and like how people responded at different level. But I would say more times than not, no, we don't go through it. And I don't know, like you having Keitra as for you being more aware of that, like you say you have to go with her or be with her to do these things. You don't necessarily have to, but just for that support.
But you see,
but she it's not even me. It's that she feels more comfortable with me doing certain things just because of the culture that exists.
Yeah, it's just like it's a given. It's like with me, for instance, with my car, for example, when I bought my car 3-4 years ago, and it was just about to be up for the warranty, I wanted to make sure the company at the time were giving me the runaround, and so I told my mechanic at the time, I want you to go in with me because I know they will listen to you. And then sure enough, they acted like you say, completely different. And my sister, when she was building the same thing, like when she took her dad with her, the persons, be it contractors, be it whoever, they responded to him differently. And it's just like, gee.
And another aspect of that is like, I've heard like mechanics would probably try to take advantage of a woman because they just assume that she doesn't know. Yeah. So they could tell her whatever and she's just going to go with it. That's very interesting. But Rashida also says women have to work 5 times as hard to be seen just as good as the worst male worker.
Yes, I feel like that is so true.
You think that's true now?
I feel like a lot of the times, I kind of, that's why with me, I actually prefer to deal with people via email, via telephone for many reasons. Because quite recently I did a project with my students and I was working and consulting with the commission at the time, mostly via email. And when I finally went in to collect the check for the students, they were like, well, they look at me like, where the rest of you is, and I was like, I'm like, and so you could imagine if I had gone in just a little bit early into the project, they may have treated me completely different just based on how I look.
Right.
And so it is I agree with her because I feel like sometimes I try to look past it and I try to still do what I do without thinking about the gender biases. But a lot of the times you are working hard because you are trying to create this professional, neutral environment where you don't come across, like I saying, I feel so guilty sometimes when I know I have to use my femininity in order to get things done. Because
I'm glad that you said that because I don't completely agree with the whole work 5 times as hard thing. I think that's a bit of hyperbole, but I get why she would kind of feel that way. But like you just said, and it may be for what some may consider the wrong reasons, but your first example was how because you were a woman, you were able to achieve more because a man would be more willing to assist you with certain things. And so that's why I can't completely agree with the whole women have to work 5 times as hard because you may find some men.
But that's still working because I'm not being me. It's not based on my merit and what I can do, but it's just because I'm using this
now hold on, Keisha. That ain't no working.
That is working. I have to do something I don't want to do.
No. A lot of times, a man would
Where
do
are you
something
gonna go? Where are you gonna get up today?
It's real. A man would do something for you just because you look good to him.
This is
that ain't no way.
That is work because it's like
just show
have to, no, because you have to play along.
You just show up.
Where's the Rashida? She must agree with me because
I could argue that women would get certain opportunities that some men wouldn't get.
But how long? But the job in that is how long can you put that up? How long can you keep up appearances? How long can you do that for? And so for me is I have to. That's extra work because I literally just want to walk into space, say this is what I need, and that's done. As opposed to like me saying like, you know, smiling with you and saying how you doing and you know what I mean, making you feel a certain way because I know that me doing that is going to get a certain response from you and certain productivity when you should be doing that anyway. And so that is kind of work. And two, I selling out myself because that's not what I want to do.
Well, no, actually.
And so I'm a part of the problem.
Well, actually, I'm not. You don't have to necessarily sell yourself out. What I'm saying is, in a lot of instances, your gender or your appearance can create an opportunity. Now, what you do with that is different, but just the way you look presents an opportunity.
Isn't that still selling out though?
No, you ain't selling out.
You have to endure it. That's it. It's like you have to endure. It's kind of like okay, you're not selling out. You have to endure the commentary. You have to endure. Okay, say for instance,
because you still set that expectation first.
Yes.
From that, you could do it once, and then that could be the
Hold
expectation.
on, do what though?
No, so
what we talking about?
You showing up. You showing up and you just looking good. You show up, look
looking
good.
good, boom. Or you selling like you smiling, all that stuff like that. When you really don't feel like that, that could be the expectation that they say, oh, okay, she's always like this, or she always does this.
Exactly. So case in point, I walk into the building and I smile, say good day, you know, can I get this done? Boom, you get it done. But tomorrow I having a bad day. I really want to. I just want to give it to you and go. But no, I gotta smile. I ain't into smiling today. I just want to get it done. Right. So I gotta keep up appearances, is what I'm saying.
And the moment you don't do that, they'd be like, oh, she's a B word.
Exactly.
Or
but
exactly.
That don't necessarily have nothing to do with being a woman, though. And in business, we have to do a lot of things we don't want to do. We have to maintain a lot of relationships that we may not be too fond of, but there's a benefit to certain relationships in business. You may be like, well, we ain't be hanging out, but let me just go to this meeting, deal with these people, get what I need to get, and that's that. So I look at it differently. Not in every situation you're going to be able to absolutely do what you want. If you're feeling stink, you can come in and don't say nothing to nobody and just expect no consequences. For every action, there's consequences, right? So we have to conduct ourselves in a certain way, regardless of gender. When you're dealing on a professional level, you should be courteous. You don't have to be Miss America, Miss Bahamas, pageant, smile all the time, but you have to give off a certain aura for people to want to be around you and want to deal with you.
Yeah, and that's just standard professionalism. But what the gender issue isn't just between male and female. You know, sometimes being a female, you can go into an establishment and women respond to you differently because you're a woman. And so
it's competition or something like that.
It's just different layers to it. And what I'm really, like I said, the concern is just us doing our job and not seeing this kind of facade as an instrument for us to respond in a personal manner from our emotions rather than from our intellect, from our skill set, what it is we're set out to do in the job place, in the workplace. And so that is really the issue for me because I feel, you know, like today, you know, when I was a lot younger, I might have been like 9 or 10, help my Grammy out. Like, I wearing like baggy clothes, like a woman coming in the store, she might have thought I was a little boy, and so she would have responded to me in a certain manner as a little boy, as opposed to being a little girl. Like that, it's just a culture thing, you know. Like why?
But shouldn't you treat little boys different from little girls in certain circumstances?
What rabbit hole?
No, I mean, hey, listen.
Going down today?
This is real because what I think happens, right? And especially in this era we in, we getting into this era where the
boundaries are blurred.
People are super sensitive, super emotional, super fragile. Yeah, we got some good comments. I can go through these in a minute. Super fragile, right?
Wow, you got some wow faces.
Right.
As the first I've ever seen wow face on our podcast.
But I think people take legitimate issues and then turn it into a boy who cried wolf situation.
Yes, I am.
Right? So they take it a bit too far and then it causes us to never get past the issue because you start to take it too far. So it's like you take something and you try to turn it into something else. Turn it into an extreme when it really isn't.
It ain't
you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to come from an angle of fairness so that we don't take it to where it needs to go, or where it doesn't need to go quickly, and we end up, arguing something that don't make sense. You know what I mean? It's all about fairness. You know, let's be honest. Now, while it does exist, I'm not saying that, and I gave you examples of how it exists and how I dealt with it personally. Let's not run out, so to say, so to speak, right? So that was my whole point with the whole professionalism thing. You got to maintain a certain character regardless.
Well, so I don't know. Has anybody ever watched Mad Men?
No,
I don't know what that is.
But I'll try to see if I can summarize. There's two characters in the show, two women characters, Peggy Olsen, and you have Joan. Peggy started off as essentially an assistant or a clerk. And then Joan has been there for a while, always in that position. Beautiful woman, drop dead gorgeous, especially way back then. And as the show progresses, these two characters develop where Peggy's intelligence really comes out, and throughout all the misogyny and all that stuff, she proved herself, proved her worth. She still got knocked back every now and again, but essentially through all her peers, they say, yo, she come to work, and she fought for that position. Joan, on the other hand, she leveled up as well, but they chose never to look past her beauty, and she essentially got to a point where she wanted more for herself, but all the stuff of people keeping it down and stuff like that never got past that, and there was even a point where she was even had to compromise or whatever to have sex with a client in order for things to happen. So it was interesting to see those two dynamics, but it isn't I think what it is it isn't a constant battle for men every day. If you're blessed enough, you only have to come to work, but women have to work and prove themselves, but also have to go through all these things where people look at them lesser than they are, just by being a different gender. So it's just those interesting things.
I could agree with that. Let's get a couple of more of these comments. Rashida says she is right. Steven says this is probably why I get such poor service wherever I go, because I didn't come to the grill to cut up and find a wife. I just wore my curry mutton.
That's what I'm talking about. Just give me what I come for. That's it. That's all.
Steven the gal wore my light skinned man. All right, Rashida says, Greg, have you ever been sexualized?
That was a good comment. I was like, what's your...
You got to be more specific.
That's what I feel like. I feel like it would be interesting. So I go back to the social experiment where you are put in our position. I know it's a hard thing to kind of think about, but how would you feel if you came to me to get something done, but I put you through the ropes?
Let me give you an example, right?
And then, I put you through the ropes, and you don't want me put through the ropes. You have no interest in me.
That's a different thing. This is where the issue is, right? Because and there was this experiment online. I think it was a video on Facebook I saw, and they legit had this gal going around and grabbing men by their penis.
Okay.
Yeah. The man, as you would imagine, he didn't do nothing to her. It was no biggie. Matter of fact, a couple of them was like, "Oh, okay, what you dealing with?"
Wouldn't that say?
Yeah, what's going on? Whereas, had it been a woman, completely different.
Yeah.
So we look at things very differently. We react to things very differently. So a woman probably sexualizing a man, as she's saying, in the workplace may be exciting for that man. That may be a bonus for him.
Yeah.
Maybe. But like you say, it all depends on the important point is if you want it or not.
If the interest lies.
And then, but a crazy duality with that too is that, let's say if you are the man in that situation and you really trying to just do your work and move up and this is bothering you, you would go tell your friends, just like your horrible bosses, they'd laugh at you and be like, but what are you dealing like take advantage of this
and that's the double standard that we don't get. Sexual harassment isn't taken seriously when it's a man reporting it.
Yeah.
So if we were to be fair, while a lot of things are unfair, certain things level off, although it sucks. The double standards kind of level off because whereas benefits to being a man in certain business situations, there are benefits to being a woman in certain situations. Now, like I said, it sucks. It should be based off of merit, but the reality is that's just not the society that we live in. And so you kind of have to find that balance. how you can maneuver through. Like you recognize something and you say, you have to strategize. Okay, this is how this person is. This is how I'm going to deal with this situation. You have to kind of analyze the situation, and based off of what you want to accomplish, you have to make the necessary adjustments to see if you can still, maneuver that situation to get what you want at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And I mean, like I say, a lot of circumstances are unfortunate, but it's the reality, and we have to, again, shift our culture and our way of thinking, our mindset to begin to move that. You know what I mean? But we have to recognize it and deal with it in order to do that. You know what I mean? We just getting outraged and emotional and just freaking out and not really dealing with the situation isn't going to help it.
I think it helps, though, like you're saying, to check yourself. I think a lot of the times, we do things as habit. The guy that may be making advances, he may not have any interest in the young lady, but because this is part of our culture, he does it anyway. And then it causes these unnecessary kind of like this unnecessary communication in the workplace, because he may not have any interest in the girl, she has no interest in him, and he makes her feel instantly, because of his culture issue, that there's some attraction there, and there may not have been none. And so I just feel like sometimes it's important for us to look at the situation for what it is and remove emotion. You know what I mean? Just think about what you're doing before you walk into a situation and you cause problems unnecessarily. And I think that's something that as a nation we need to think about, because it does hurt a lot of business transactions. It does hurt a lot of working relationships, because it causes confusion very easily and very quickly, not just for the two people involved, but a lot of the time people who are on the outside looking in, because that's where a lot of the pressure comes in. Your colleagues, when they see you talking to and how you respond to someone, they come and nudge you and say, yeah, babe, I like that one for you, and all of that is pressure. And it's just unnecessary.
It is. And
I fed up.
Rashida says, bottom line, women are treated differently. I would say that women should be treated differently in certain circumstances. If we have a couple blocks outside there, I ain't gonna say, hey, Keisha, grab them blocks and bring them out your way. You know what I mean? You're a woman. You understand? So let's not make women being treated differently as a bad thing altogether. Now, in certain circumstances, sure. But not every circumstance is a bad one, because women and men are different. So they should be treated differently in certain circumstances. But once it's fair,
fairness is important.
Fairness is important. Justice is important. And Rashida comment plenty. She hot on this topic. She hot on this one. So you are saying it is okay. See, and this is when you get emotional.
Okay.
Africa. Listen, let me look in the camera. Africa. Nobody
can I fade into this
the
wall.
Injustices are okay. What I'm saying is, you have to analyze every situation differently for what it is, and then you have to come to a determination whether certain things are okay or not, and that's based off of you personally.
I like how you're whispering, by the way. Let me just say that. I mean? Like you gotta
you calm down.
Very,
people.
Very intimate.
Yeah, because this is where she letting her emotions get to. So you're saying that okay? That's all right. Then it's okay for.
So hold on, wait. Okay, so why are you doing the whole neck shaking, bro? I mean, what does that mean? What
getting into character?
When I say women run hot in certain circumstances, that's the kind of actions that they do.
That sounds like a generalization.
It may be.
A gender bias,
It may be, but hey, I mean, if you
boy, nigga, rip.
Listen, if your feelings get hurt for that, I got news for you. Life is getting way harder than that.
It's much more to life.
Life gets much harder.
See, Rashida says, "Now, Greg, you know that's not Rashida. Come on, Greg.
Now, Greg, you know that's not." Well, hey, listen. Africa, I only could go off of the comments. And that's the thing about text messages. That's why I don't like to have serious conversations over text, because the interpretation could get misconstrued so often. So I don't know the context. I don't know the tone. You know what I mean? Where you come from. So that's the way I read it. But anyhow, what time? Jesus, we done gone way past. We need to wrap this episode up.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap this one up. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
And
for the
please, we ask, please share the video. Please share if you feel that we give good information, you could learn something, you could benefit, or somebody you know could learn and benefit. Just hit that share button. It takes how long? A quarter of a second? Exactly. Just hit share. Quarter of a second. You ain't got to pay for it. It's free. And you will be helping someone. You will be giving someone some good knowledge. You'll be giving them some insight, something that may get them past it. I saw someone, and we going to have on, I won't bring her on next week, entrepreneur, young lady, started her own. You know, you all women that say snatch your edges. Your edges is be all loose.
edge control.
She has an edge control kit.
Okay.
That she quit her job while she was pregnant.
Okay.
To go start her own business. And she is out there, and it is professionally packaged, looks beautiful. So I want to have her on next week.
Nice.
Because it is, I am intrigued by her story, because someone quit their job while they're pregnant. You know, babies don't leave their job.
Yeah, that's a risk.
When you find the leap here.
So we can get into that next week. I think we can dive into that. So y'all please tune in next week for that episode. But again, share the videos, please. If you think that people can benefit, we appreciate you for tuning in each and every week. We appreciate all your comments. We appreciate your likes, your wow faces that Travis was talking about earlier. We appreciate it all. And Keisha,
Hi.
we appreciate you. I can kidnap you. I can kidnap you as much as I can. So
I've enjoyed this.
Yeah,
It's been fun.
So you better get prepared.
This has been some therapy for me as well.
Yes, and see, I hope you leave the conversation feeling a little more.
Yeah, feel light. Feel like, you got something off your chest and you able to kind of like, share opinions with people like Rashida who, they get where you're coming from. And two, it's like a work in progress. You have to know how to deal with it. Don't just lash out. Help to change the mindset of our people.
Exactly.
Daryl says, please tell Keisha, Daryl, and Serena say hi.
Oh, they're from London. Cool.
Hey.
Oh, we have from London for real? I mean, they're
London.
in London right now?
Yeah, they're in
Wow.
London.
Wow.
Awesome.
Thank you. That's very
Yes,
dope.
viewers from London. Hey, London.
Hi.
I need to get out there. But then them tickets a little expensive though.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Woo. But anyhow, we used to buy a ticket to Miami.
Yes,
That's
Keisha.
it.
But anyhow, let's wrap this one up. Thank you once again, people. As we always end the show, losers make excuses and winners make adjustments. That's the shirt I have on now. If you would like to purchase, please WhatsApp 804-5219. I won't lie, I don't usually have that phone on me, so WhatsApp it. Don't call it. Send your WhatsApp message. Send your shirt size. Send your address, and I'll deliver the shirts to you. Just $25. You can get a t-shirt, and I'll deliver it to you. Provide your size, information, all of that good stuff. Or if you want to order it online, it's goundertherug.com/shop. Get your shirts. Share the video. We appreciate you. Thank you, as always.
Bye.
Later.